Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. Hey guys, how's it going?
What's up, Wilson?
Hey, obviously, Kelvin, you're no stranger to playing historical figures. I'm gonna start calling you the chameleon.
Oh, that's cool.
Hey.
Thanks, man.
Like, who's he now? It's not Kelvin. That's Chevalier. No, that's BB. No, that's MLK. Who is he today? And obviously, I've seen your work, but what goes into saying yes? Into playing these historical figures, and is there mental pressure about getting it right? Aaron?
A tremendous amount. It's I speak a lot about the magnitude of this experience and the enormity of the responsibility, and also the fact that this was a full-time engagement. This is not something in which you arrive to work and then you let it go and drop it when the day ends. This is something that you immerse yourself in, or at least we did deeply for 6 months and before that, in pre-production. And that all comes from a place of gratitude, from having the opportunity and the privilege to portray these great men, and also wanting to just be in utter and complete service to their legacies and their stories, and do our utmost to honor that and portray that as authentically as we can.
How about you, Kelvin? As I mentioned, you've played other roles before, so that requires time to do a lot more research. Did you use the same format in playing MLK?
I think I used a similar format. I had a lot more material to tackle, so I think it had to shift my approach a little bit. And what it came down to is I originally felt really overwhelmed by how much I had to portray. But then I was like, I can't make this too academic. I was like, if it becomes about academics, then I'm not getting to the soul and the spirit of the man. And do I want, listen, Dr. King is the most famous Black man ever. He is more famous than Michael Jackson. So at the end of the day, I'm like, people will know that voice to some extent. I can't cheat it completely. You know what I'm saying? I have to find my way into it, but I can't just derail completely and just start talking like I'm from New Orleans. Also, people have an understanding of how he looks. Now, am I younger? Do I have the same, stature? Not necessarily, but how close can I get it for people to be able to go, okay, I can believe this. But a lot of it is getting back to where is this man's joy? Like what excites him every morning? What makes him feel comforted? I had to go back to the things that make me feel safe. We live in an industry and our jobs have a lot to do with being in the public and trying to figure that out and trying to have a separation between how we approach the work, but also how we protect our livelihoods and our personal lives. And that was something I related to with Dr. King as well. And I really tried to lean into my own experiences and what I also researched from just, reading his autobiography. So, yeah.
How about you, Aaron? Obviously, we've seen, Denzel's performance. We've seen other variations here and there. What did you do outside of the script? Because, the first thing is the script. What is the script calling for? And then you want to make it your own. So when we see it, we believe you, playing this role.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, man. I think for me, everyone has their own particular approach and experience, when engaging with work. And I think for me, in addition to reading his autobiography, in addition to reading The Sword and the Shield by Peniel E. Joseph, in addition to the documentary that was guided by Dr. Betty Shabazz, endless footage of him at panels, interviews, speeches. In addition to that, it's about having a dialect coach well ahead of time. It's about, adjusting your body composition well ahead of time so that you can feel grounded in his way, in his stance, in his movement, and just immersing yourself in that. That's me personally, and I was very grateful to have such a beautiful and wonderful cast and creative team to lean into when I questioned my endurance, when I questioned my stamina. We really held one another. Kelvin and I didn't see each other every single day. As a matter of fact, we rarely saw each other on this set. But when we did, we checked in with one another and just encouraged one another that we can make it through, and we can do it in a way that we are proud of and in a way that serves the integrity of these tremendous individuals.
Skill set wise, what's your takeaway after doing this performance that you can take on to whatever project you do next? Kelvin?
The leadership. I think what we really
Like that.
Yeah. It's the leadership. I think what we had to confront in ourselves was we can't be resistant to an opportunity. We can't be resistant towards us being called to step up and to portray these great men. And also while doing that, we're also learning how they had to step up as well, even though they felt resistance. And a lot of us just want to be 20. A lot of us just want to be with our partners and loving and with our kids and with our families and in our safe space. But life isn't about just playing it safe. It's about challenging ourselves and stepping outside our comfort zones and connecting with other people to the best of our ability. And the leadership qualities we developed on that set and navigating, portraying these men and protecting ourselves, protecting our castmates, protecting the crew, will extend to how we approach future projects as rising stars or whatever they want to call us, but also how we engage with just life in general. So it's been a gift. That's the biggest lesson though, is the leadership.
Yeah, and just believing in your capacity, believing in your capacity to do the thing, and that's it really.
Rising stars, you're not, because I've been covering you guys for over at least a long time. So congrats on the rose. Congrats on the series. Obviously, I'll see you guys work again as we do. We're always here to support. Take care, guys.
Appreciate you, Wilson.
Thank you, man.
See you, man.
Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. Hello, folks. How's it going?
Good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, here you are playing these iconic roles that their last names don't need to be pronounced. So coming into this, how much research did you do outside of what you already knew? Jayme?
A lot. I mean, honestly, I knew more about, of course, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and I even knew more about Coretta before I knew a whole lot about Dr. Shabazz. So for me, there was a lot of research that was necessary, and in trying to find credible sources, because that was very important for me. I didn't want to just read anything that anybody had to say about her, right? I wanted it to be from trusted people and trusted sources. And my poor books are filled with coded sticky notes and all of that. But all of that was necessary to really craft her and bring her so that she's not just this woman that's next to her man, but that we see the fullness of Dr. Shabazz and that she can feel somewhat relatable as you watch her.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Weruche? Obviously we've seen versions of Coretta in films and in documentaries, but obviously, were you told to stay away from that and go with what you got, or did you do your own research?
I actually intentionally stayed away from watching other versions of her because there is the likelihood to almost try to copy or emulate it. So I was mindful of the research. I was trying to get as much factual research as I could get to give her, to get the facts and then be able to portray my own understanding of her, because that's all I can offer, because I'm not Coretta. I can only show you what I think she was like. But what I did realize was there is a lack of information about these great women. History has not done them well in documenting a lot about them. It was quite painful to look for stuff when you just literally go on Google and find hundreds of links for MLK and for Malcolm X. But for the women, you had to trawl through information. And so for me, it was a massive education for me because I didn't know much about Coretta Scott King, ashamedly to say. But hopefully a show like this will change things like that, where people have more access and more knowledge and more information about Dr. Betty Shabazz and Coretta Scott King.
So having now played her, these women, do you have a better insight as to what made these women strong?
Oh,
Jayme?
Great. Yeah, right. As a Black woman, right, I know what it is to be relegated to the periphery, right, in society, to be seen as one-dimensional, right, to be seen by people as this strong woman, this resilient woman, right? But in the privacy and intimacy with other Black women, we can see each other fully and we know what is all behind that strength. And so getting to dive into Dr. Shabazz and seeing the insecurities and the doubts and the questions and her deep commitment to her faith, right? And all that she's come through in her upbringing helped me to fully understand and see why people could deem her to be strong. Everything she went through prepared her actually for the moment in which her husband would be taken from her, right? That takes a certain kind of strength that only a few are prepared for. But I also invested in showing the moments in which she can laugh and which she can smile and which she can look dotingly on her husband, right? So that we have the full picture and we don't just reserve her to just being strong, but we know what we mean when we say that she's strong. We know what that all encompasses.
And then for Coretta, obviously, she had to endure a lot from what we see, all the threats and the abuse that, they had to go through in terms of, just surviving. So like we get a better appreciation now as to how strong she was throughout this whole time. What did you feel after you finished playing her? Is this a character that stayed with you forever, or is it like, okay, what's the next job?
She definitely will stay with me forever. I remember when I first started researching about her and reading one of her autobiographies, My Love, My Life, My Legacy. I remember reading it and finding so many bits of her and the way that she saw life and the world that resonated with me. She was a great woman of faith. And I remember there was a part where she said that every decision she makes in life has been through prayer. She doesn't make any decision lightly. And I was like, well, that's something, because that's what I do. And so learning about her, I think, has always been a blueprint to an extent of somebody who saw her purpose in life, was dedicated to her purpose in life. She definitely had hard times, but only tough people last. Tough times never last. Only tough people last. And so reading about her and seeing the legacy she's left behind has been such an encouragement to me to want to follow that route kind of thing, and to realize, like Amy said, not Amy, who's Amy?
Jesus.
Jayme said, my bad.
What time is it?
Lunchtime.
Y'all not friends. Y'all just remembered each other's names.
Jayme said, the word strong and the complexities that come with it, it's in the strength, there is softness, there is laughter, there's anxiety, there's fear, there's care, there's doubt, but then it's also a decision to keep moving forward in that direction. And I think these two women had that strength and its beauty, and we see the result of that in today's world.
Yes, decision. It's not just inherent. It's a decision.
Yes, ma'am.
And then having done this, skill set wise as actresses, what do you take from doing this series that helps you along moving forward to whatever project you do next? When you think about the directions you got, moving forward to whatever project you do next, is there something that you learned from here, skill set wise, that you could say, okay, I'm gonna bring this along?
Oh, I'm an opera singer now.
Yep.
Y'all need me to sing something for you?
Right.
I might need to get somebody to do the actual singing, but I can embody like I'm singing.
Right.
So that's cute.
You said something earlier about when you were researching Coretta, praying to God, asking for her essence, not her burden.
Yes.
And I have to say, I found myself, specifically in preparation, there's a scene at the end of the show in episode 8. In preparation for that, I remember praying and just saying, Lord, you know what it takes for me to have to show up in this capacity. And I need you to get me out.
Oof.
If I'm going to show up this much, I need you to bring me out of it so I don't carry this with me. Because what we were asked to do here, it's not easy. And the lives that they led are not light ones. And so as far as skill set, learning how to, in another way, show up fully and know that I can let it go, that I don't have to carry all of it with me throughout my day or weeks to come afterwards.
That's
all that needs to be said. Congratulations on the series. Congratulations on the roles. Obviously, I'll see you guys down the road somewhere along the line. Wherever you guys are at, take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Wilson Morales from Black Women TV. Hello, folks. How's it going?
Really good. How you doing?
Good. It always seems like you guys got projects almost every 2 months. You know, y'all always working, whether it's separately, together. You know, y'all just keep working. But here's a big project that everybody's looking forward to see because we're getting, hopefully, a lot more insight that we didn't know of regarding MLK and X. And so coming into it, what did you want to do that we had not seen or heard before?
Well, first of all, we really wanted to do a narrative that juxtaposed their lives, their mission, their challenges, you know, in the same story. And it was really interesting to see how many ways their lives intersected, not just from a historical point of view, but from the personal as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's your cue, G. I was pausing.
Yeah.
Jump in.
Gina, what you want to add in?
Yeah, it's interesting because so many of us feel like you have to choose between Dr. King or Malcolm X. Who do you identify with? Who do you gravitate towards? And what we wanted to show is that you can't have one without the other. They're two sides of the same coin. They both had the same dream, the same goal. They just went at it a little differently, but towards the end of their lives, they were really coming together in a similar way. So, and also in a global way. So we wanted to tell that narrative as well.
I think that's the other thing too that's just really interesting about it is just their message, their messaging just feels so contemporary. And so we went with that in the storytelling and the music and the cinematography. So it doesn't feel like it's a museum piece, but you really see how relevant Malcolm, Martin, Betty, and Coretta are to today.
Yeah, and it's a good thing you mentioned it because we're not just getting the true guy story, we're getting the narratives of the ladies as well because they're also integral to their legacy, you know, especially considering they both lived on for more than, 2 decades well after their deaths. You know, how much research went into trying to just, to get what we get from watching these stories, especially the early youth, because I think a lot from what we see in films is more about the achievements, and we're looking for the speeches, and it's almost like walking in steps. It's like, okay, we already know from what we read on Wikipedia. Now we want to see a reenactment of it, but here we're getting a lot more before that. How much research went into discovering what went on before?
Well, foremost, we're glad you brought up Betty and Coretta because that was absolutely imperative for us to amplify their stories, their lives, their importance to the movement, importance to the genius of Martin and Malcolm, and show their genius as well. And to tell those stories accurately, it's all about research. We went in thinking we knew a lot, and we put together a think tank of incredible scholars and activists and people who knew these icons personally, and to just sit back and listen to them teach us, to debate each other, was like, it was so informative to have Ambassador Shabazz as one of our consultants who could tell us not about the iconic moments that we all know, but how much Malcolm loved Betty, how much Betty loved Malcolm, how much Malcolm liked to laugh and joke, how he was with his children, those incredible intimate moments that we don't get to see, that humanize these people who, again, we put on t-shirts and idolize, but they're real, they're human, and when you connect on that level, then you can see yourself in those characters.
You go into it, and it's kind of funny because, there's several episodes where you're now looking at other characters, and then now that we obviously seen Rustin, now for the second time, we're seeing who Bayard Rustin is. It's like, it was interesting because, I never knew who the guy was, and now in the last year, we are now connecting pieces, so it's good that you're introducing these characters that some people are obviously historians would know, but the rest of the world weren't aware of. So like there's a lot of research that has to go into the other characters in play. So like when you're discovering that, who was the key person? Was there a key person instrumental in terms of the research who was around regarding the other characters?
Well, I mean, first of all, that's just, a part of us all rolling up our sleeves. Really want to just give a great tribute to our showrunners, Damian Macedon and Raphael Jackson. This is the first thing where Gina and I had an idea, and we weren't the ones to write it or direct it. We brought in showrunners to do it, and they did a great job. But we also just have great sources of research. There's an amazing book called The Sword and the Shield by Peniel E. Joseph, and we used his book as a huge part of the inspiration on our 8-hour film. The Meeting by Jeff Stetson, a play that was written in the 80s about a fictional meeting between Dr. King and Malcolm X, really served as a great resource. And then we had an amazing think tank with scholars and leaders and activists, and just pulled a lot of research out. So it wasn't like one person's job, it was just all hands on deck.
Mm-hmm. This is part of the Genius series. Was there a thought process as far as making this series similar to what the other series have brought us? Or is this something just your idea and it's just got the Genius series attached to it?
They let us do our thing. They originally came to us and said, we'd like to do it on Dr. King. And, we said that's cool, but what we would want to do is Dr. King and Malcolm X. You can't have one without the other. We knew we were disrupting this franchise by focusing on two, but they heard us, they embraced it, and let us do our thing.
Yeah, I think the only thing that we really tried to hold on to was revealing their genius. But we wanted to articulate it in a way that we wanted articulated, and was very happy that they supported that.
Is there more to be said after this is said and done? We've got a lot here. Is there more to be told of these two gentlemen outside of the series?
Oh, for sure. I mean, first and foremost, we hope people read The Sword and the Shield and all other narratives, at a time when our books are being banned and censored, and our culture is being, they're attempting to silence it. So we always will advocate for people to read more about Malcolm, Betty, Malcolm and Martin, Coretta, just reading about them. But there's so much more to be said. And so we're very, very happy that we took a slice of their life and presented some things that will hopefully challenge perspective. But, such incredible people, such incredible lives. And we had 8 hours. And if we had 20 hours, it'd still be more to say.
Okay. Congrats on the series. Obviously, job well done. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be talking about it week after week to see, okay, what did they get right? What did they get wrong? We're going to be going to Wikipedia to say, is this correct? It's enough for us to get educated, to be re-educated again. Congrats.
Appreciate it. Thank you.